Hello, welcome to the Manasplained podcast. I'm Connor, and this is Millie. And today I'll be talking about the deck I built for Rubinia Soulsinger. So this card has my least favorite effect in Magic, and that's stealing your opponent's cards. So the way Rubinia works is you can tap her, and then you gain control of target creature. During your upkeep or during your untap step, you can choose to not untap Rubinia, and then if she ever becomes untapped or leaves the battlefield or lose control of her or whatever, the opponent gets the control of the creature that you stole back. So this card is awful. It's so mean. I hate stealing effects. They are just not fun to play against. Please don't build this deck. I'll live this deck vicariously through me in this video. But yeah, please don't build it. It's just such an awful effect. It's so mean. People really hate it. I know some people really like stealing, and it's just, I don't get it. Just play your own cards. Bring your own cards and play them. Stop stealing other people's copy effects. I love copy effects. If you're copying one of my cards, that's cool, because then I still get to play. But if I'm casting a spell and like my commander, and then you just steal my commander, like how am I supposed to have fun? Yeah, it's just. And also, if you have steal effects in your decks, before, like the rule 0 conversation, before we sit down, please ask the other people if it's okay if they're playing steal effects, because some people will say no, because a lot of people are very unhappy with it, or they'll say, as long as you don't steal my commander. That's the thing. I'm okay with steal effects, not really, but for the most part, until they steal commanders. Because if you're stealing commanders, that is just like you're actively trying to stop other people from having fun. I'm already not like a super fan of control decks. They are just like the fun police, and stealing is like the fun police of fun police. So yeah, please don't build this deck. Please don't play steal effects. And if you're going to, please ask your play group or ask people you're playing with before everyone shuffles up and draws their 7 if it's okay if you're playing steal effects. Because if you drop Rubinia Soulsinger at the table, be like, this is my commander, people will roll their eyes and probably take you out first, rightfully so. That is the one thing I do like about steal effects. It causes people to gang up and remove one person from the game. But yeah, so let's jump into this deck. I don't like it, but I hope you don't like this deck either. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. It really helps grow the channel. Just hit 250 subs, so we're cruising along. And yeah, I love to talk with you guys in these comments when the videos go live. So for the deck breakdown, we have 6 theft cards, 5 Subtheme cards, 3 synergy, 15 Sac Outlets, which is the second most important part of the deck behind the commander, because when we steal our opponent's stuff, then we can sack them and then untap our commander and then steal something else. It's very powerful. And then 7 untappers so that we can do that even more often. God, I hate this deck. And then 3 copy cards, which the copy cards are probably a little bit different than what you might be thinking. And then in addition to that, 4 protection, 11 draw, 14 ramp, 6 removal, 0 wipes, and 36 lands. So the removal's low because our commander can steal our opponent's creatures. Then with the Sac Outlets, that's basically a bunch more removal. The 11 draw to help smooth out the deck, and then the 14 ramp cards because people would be killing our commander often, rightfully so. It's a bad card for meanies, and so having the ramp to be able to get it back out there is important. And then all of that combines to 11 crossover cards. I'm upset with how well this deck came together, with the not needing a lot of removal and easily fitting in a bunch of draw effects that are also like in other categories, easily fitting in a bunch of ramp. Oh my god. And then having 11 crossover cards. I am upset with how well this deck came together and how fast it came together. Oh my god, this commander is very strong, and I hate it. I hate it so much. So just because our commander steals doesn't mean we don't want other cards that steal too. And I thought about, like, there's tons of different kind of steal effects. There's like control magic effects and will breaker stuff like that. But I was thinking more along the lines of some other kind of steal effects that would enhance what your commander's already trying to do. So for the theft category, start off with Agent of Treachery, probably one of the strongest cards in the deck, because when it enters the battlefield, we gain control of target permanent. And then at the beginning of your end step, if you control 3 or more permanents you don't own, draw 3 cards. So with Agent of Treachery, plus our commander stealing a thing, plus if we have like some other thing, we can just, it's so gross. It's honestly disgusting. We could probably only hold 2 things at a time super consistently, but like if we can find a way to blink Agent of Treachery, or, you know, use one of the other steal effects to steal another thing. Like, its card is disgusting. I hate it so much. It is objectively a very powerful card, but it is gross, and I hate it a lot. Royal Elemental, also a ridiculously powerful card. It's whenever a land enters, we get to gain control of target creature as long as we control Royal Elemental. And so, because we're in green, and we have so many different ramp spells, if you play like a Rampant Growth, that turns into get a basic onto the battlefield tapped and steal a creature, which is like, that's insane. And then Helm of Possession is really interesting because it's a Sac Outlet in addition to its steal effects. So what you can do with it is we can gain control of a creature with our commander and then sack it with Helm of Possession to then gain control of a different creature, which is a ridiculously, oh my god, that's removal and stealing. Oh my god, yeah, these cards are actually insane. Don't play these cards. They're really mean, but man, they're strong. And then we also have Callous Suppressor. So when there's the battlefield, an opponent chooses a creature type, and then we can tap it to gain control of a creature that isn't of the chosen type, as long as it remains tapped. So another like tap steal effect. Beguiler of Wills, gain control of target creature with power less than or equal to the number of creatures you control. So we could steal people's like small value engine creatures to help disrupt what they're doing. And then Empress Galena, you just steal commanders. That's all that card does, is it just steals commanders. It's really gross. God, Empress Galena is awful, but I thought I had to add it because this deck is already super disgusting. So for the sub-theme, because our commander says we only control the creature as long as the commander remains tapped. I was wondering if there's ways to get around that ability so that we could, steal the creature and then have our commander untap and steal something else. And there are some cards that let us do that, and that being flicker cards that return the cards back to our control. So a lot of flicker cards will say exile target creature, return to the battlefield under its owner's control, which is annoying. But some cards, like Cloud Shift, will say exile target creature you control, then return that card to the battlefield under your control. So we'll steal something with our commander, then we can flicker it with Cloud Shift, and it'll re-enter the battlefield back under our control, and the return effect of Rubinia, of either Rubinia dying or being untapped, returning the thing to the original owner, just goes away. That just won't happen anymore. So these make the stealing the stealing part permanent. The best one here is definitely Conjurer's Closet, just because at the end of every turn we can flicker the creature we just stole with our commander, and the creature we just stole with our commander maybe has an ETB effect, so we'll get that ETB effect, and then we can untap Rubinia and then steal something else. Conjurer's Closet plus Rubinia is one of the most disgusting things I've ever seen. So for the synergy category, I was thinking when building this deck, it would be like just truly awful having more than one Rubinia out. So that's what I built the synergy category around. All of these cards make non-legendary token copies or become a non-legendary copy of the thing, which is disgusting. Like, having more than one Rubinia out is gross. Quantum Misalignment will get us 3 of them. 3 Rubinias. That's so... I hate it so much. I hate it so much. And then Spark Double and... yeah, no. Oh my god. This deck is awful for horrible people. But, oh my god. This effect, having 3 of our commanders out, just being able to constantly steal 3 things, is insane. Like, it's honestly... I don't know. It's ridiculous. I hate this deck so much. And then, like I said before, because we're constantly stealing our opponent's creatures, we want the ability to kill them so that they don't get them back, because we're being the meanest possible player at the table today. The first group of Sac Outlets here, they're all just pay a mana, do the thing. So you can, as long as you have the mana, you can do it multiple times. Perilous Forays goes and gets a land onto the battlefield with a basic land type tapped. So we could go get like a Forest Plains or something, because it only cares if it has the basic land type, which is crazy. Evolutionary Leap basically says pay a green, sack a creature, draw a creature. That's basically what it says. Evolutionary Leap is an insane draw engine that way. Oh my god, it's very powerful. And then Drowned Rusalka has pay a blue, sack a creature, discard a card, then draw a card. So yeah, again, you can discard the cards you don't care about, and then draw, and then you can draw through. And the difference between Drowned Rusalka is just, like, you can find non-creatures with it. Unlike Evolutionary Leap, you can only draw creatures. But there are a bunch of really good creatures in this deck, so Evolutionary Leap is quite powerful. These are all the cards where you pay 2, tap, sack, and then do something. Relic Vial and Phyrexian Vault just draw a card, but they both. But Relic Vial also says if you control a cleric, it has whenever a creature you control dies, each opponent loses a life and you gain a life. So if you happen to have a cleric out while you're doing this, it's gravy. And then Helm of Possession, like I said earlier, you sack a creature to gain control of a creature. It is ridiculous. These are some creatures with some very powerful sacrificing abilities. So Jalira, Master Polymorphist. Polymorph's a card. You pay 3, tap it, sack a creature, reveal cards until you reveal a non-legendary creature, and slap that onto the battlefield, which that's insane. You just get to trade out one of your opponent's creatures with one of your creatures out of your deck, which is kind of ridiculous. And then Jiralf, Visionary Stitcher, can sack a creature to make an XX blue zombie creature token, where X is the sacrifice creature's toughness. So we can replace our opponent's creatures with big zombies, and Jiralf gives those zombies flying. Have some great one-off draw sack outlets here. They both just say sack a creature, draw as many cards equal to its power, but Momentous Fall also gains you life equal to its toughness. They're both great. I was going to add Greater Good to the deck, but it makes you discard 3 cards, so unless you're stealing big things constantly, that's going to be card disadvantage quite often. And the card's also $12. So, but Life's Legacy and Momentous Fall are both great. Just one-off, sack a creature, draw a bunch of cards, gain some life with Momentous. It's awesome. These sack outlets are just tap, sack, then do something. And Boneyard, when you sack the creature, you gain life equal to that creature's toughness. Witch's Oven, you make a food token, but if its toughness is 4 or greater, you make 2 food tokens. And then the Golden Throne is sack a creature, add 3 mana in any combination of colors. So, which that is crazy. And the amount of ramp you can get from this is insane. It's 4 mana, get 3 mana back. That's Thran Dynamo rate, except it's any combination of color. This card is insane. And then probably the 2 best sack outlets in the deck, because they don't have any kind of cost in addition to the sacking the creature. That's all you have to do. Fanatical Devotion just says sack a creature, regenerate target creature. Which, like, that is insane. That's probably the strongest sack outlet in the deck. It protects all of your creatures from destroy effects, combat damage, like all that kind of stuff. It's insane. Fanatical Devotion protects your commander, like, in a way. It's not, I didn't put it in the protection category because you need to have like stuff to sacrifice to use as protection. It's not protection in a vacuum, but it'll more often than not be a very good source of protection for your commander. And then Spawning Pit, you sack it to put a charge counter on it, and then you can pay 1 to remove 2 charge counters from Spawning Pit and put a 2/2 spawn artifact creature token into play. So not only does it make fodder to sacrifice for some like of our other effects, if we really want to sack one of these tokens to do something, like for Fanatical Devotion, it's a sack outlet in of itself. Spawning Pit is an absolutely phenomenal card. So because our commander taps to do her ability, we'll want to untap her after we sacrifice the creatures we steal with her. And so because of that, the untappers need to be pretty efficient, because we're going to maybe have to pay for sacking some other stuff in addition to casting stuff during the turn. This deck is quite mana intensive. And the 2 best untappers in the deck are Free from the Real and Penman's Aura, because they both just say pay a blue, untap enchanted creature, which is, oh my god, that's so much value. It's insane. You can untap your commander so many times. It's kind of crazy. And then in addition to that, 1,000-Year Elixir gives our commander pseudo haste for her tap ability, and can also untap her, which is not fair at all. Oh my god, you can, if you have 1,000-Year Elixir out, the turn she enters, if you have the mana, you could tap her, sack the thing, untap her, and then grab something else. Oh my god, holy crap. 1,000-Year Elixir is redonkulous. And then the other untappers in this deck, Kiora's Follower, Ioreth, and Vizier, they all just say tap, untap something. Ioreth says untap, you can tap her to untap 2 other target legendary creatures. So if we steal an opponent's creature that has a cool untap effect, we could use Ioreth to untap that as well if we had a way to flicker it or something so they get to keep it permanently. Yeah, Ioreth here is very cool. And then Seedborn Muse, which is just untap all permanents you control during each other player's untap step. So we have a lot of ways to spend our mana during our opponent's turns with the sack outlets and such. So Seedborn Muse in this deck is disgusting. So because I showed you the clone effects earlier that you might have been thinking were the copy cards, that's actually what I decided to make the copy cards. This is the copy category. Because stealing more than one thing with our commander's ability seems busted. Rings of Bright Hearth, whenever we tap our commander, if we pay 2, we get to steal something else. Lithoform Engine, we can tap it and pay 2 to steal another thing with our commander. And Illusionist Bracers, whenever we activate our commander, we steal 2 things. Oh my god. Oh my god, these cards are not... Illusionist Bracers, I love it, because I love having commanders that have like activated abilities where you tap them to do stuff. And Illusionist Bracers just makes all of those commanders so much more powerful. They feel more than twice as strong when you put an Illusionist Bracers on it. Because they like Illusionist Bracers, Rings of Bright Hearth, or Lithoform Engine are like only doubling the effectiveness of the ability, but it feels so much stronger than just doubly effective. It's kind of crazy. So because we're going to be the meanest person at the table, we need to protect ourselves from people trying to kill our commander and all of the stuff we're going to be stealing from them. These are the protection cards I decided to go with. Privileged Position, probably being the strongest one here, gives all of our other permanents hexproof. So that's our commander, all the stuff we steal, our sack outlets, everything gets hexproof, which is insanely strong. And then Lightning Greaves probably being the second strongest one, because Haste and Shroud equip 0. We have this out, we play our commander. If no one has instant speed removal, they're going to need 2 pieces of removal to both then remove the Greaves and remove the commander. And in addition to that, just the haste on the Greaves helps get our commander activating even sooner, which is great. And then in addition to both of those, Swiftfoot Boots is just a worse Greaves in this deck, but still very powerful. Hexproof and haste is amazing. And then the Champion's Health, just the pure hexproof, is good enough to make me want to add it to the deck. So because we're in blue, we have access to great card draw, and because we're in green, we have access to also great card draw. Bant is a ridiculous color combination because blue and green are so ridiculously powerful. These are the super powerful green draw cards I put into the deck because we're going to want to be stealing the big stuff and impactful stuff with our commander. Quite often they're going to be high power cards, and so because of that, Soul's Majesty, Return of the Wild Speaker, and Rishkar's Expertise really help you like capitalize off stealing your opponent's big meaty creatures. And then Harmonize, just 4 mana, draw 3 cards, is just a good time. And then the rest of the cards in this category you've already seen. Drowned Rusalka and Agent of Treachery, just steal effect, or a sack outlet and a steal effect that draw cards. And then some more sack outlets that draw cards. All of these cards are great. They're super powerful, especially when we're sacking our opponent's creatures. And because we're in green, we have access to phenomenal ramp. It's like really powerful ramp. My favorite ramp, which is getting lands out, and more than just like the rampant growths, the other powerful ramp too that can go find non-basics, can get more than 1 land out at a time. I love green. It's probably my second favorite color, right behind red. Here are the 2 mana ramp options. Nature's Lore and 3 visits lets us go find a forest that doesn't have to be basic, so that we can get a dual land to help fix our colors. Farseek is the inverse, where it finds anything but a forest, so we can go find our Plains Island if we need to, in order to fix our colors that way. Into the North can get any snowland, and we're running all 3 dual typed snowlands in this deck, in addition to all snow basics, so that Into the North always has a target. And then finally, Rampant Growth and Sakura Tribe Elder, 2 mana, grab a basic. All these cards are amazing. Next up, we have the 3 and 4 mana options for ramp. Kodama's Reach, Cultivate, our Rampant Growth plus you draw a land, which is fantastic. And then Sky Shroud Claim and Ranger's Path both get 2 forests onto the battlefield. And Sky Shroud Claim can put them untapped, which is honestly ridiculous. In the last cards of the ramp category, Soul Ring's obviously in the deck because it's one of the strongest cards ever in the history of Magic. Golden Throne, great sack outlet. Paraphyllis Foray is also a phenomenal sack outlet. Then Kiora's Follower, being able to untap a land or our Soul Ring or our Golden Throne is kind of ridiculous. So because we don't really need creature-based removal, I decided to not run like Swords of Plowshares, Path to Exile, those cards, or Pongify, Rapid Hybridization. They're just not necessary. Instead of killing our opponent's creatures, we want to take control of them, because if they're worth killing, they're worth stealing. And so the removal is more about hitting permanents and artifacts and enchantments. So from the new Outlaws at Thunder Junction set, there's a new mechanic called Spree, and Requisition Raid is probably my new favorite removal spell, because for a 1 white mana, we can then get to add more cost to it if we want to do stuff. So for 2 mana, we can destroy target artifact, destroy target enchantment, or put a 1/1 counter on each creature target player controls. For an additional mana, so a white and 2 generic, we could destroy an artifact and an enchantment, destroy an artifact, put counters. Like, you get to mix and match. So the modality of these cards is ridiculously powerful. Like, it's kind of insane. And for 3 mana, destroying artifact and destroying enchantment, that's crazy. Like, that is so strong. Like, it's kind of ridiculous, really. Like, this is my probably new favorite white removal spell. It's not as good as Dismantling Wave, because Dismantling Wave is 3 mana, destroy 3 things. But Requisition Raid, 3 mana, destroy 2 things. They can also be under the same person's control. So if someone's really getting out of hand, you can be like, all right, this person here, I'm destroying your Soul Ring and your Rhystic Study. Like, really put someone back. Yeah, Requisition Raid is a phenomenal removal spell. And then in addition to that, another one of my favorite removal spells is Atrax's Fall. Destroying target artifact, battle, enchantment, or creature with flying is just so much versatility. It's kind of insane. And then in addition to those 3, we got the 3 destroy target permanent cards. Generous Gift and Beast Within can hit a land, which is super nice, but Stroke of Midnight is only non-land, but it makes a 1/1, which is a lot less dangerous than a 3/3. So for the lands in the deck, we're running Selesnya, so we have my favorite land of all time in here. And then in addition to that, because we needed Sac Outlets, we have another land that I really like but don't get to run quite often because it's not very good unless you need the additional Sac Outlet. One of my favorite lands being Krosan Verge, the fact that it is a myriad landscape that goes and gets dual lands is kind of ridiculous. And then High Market, being able to sack a creature to gain a life. It's a great Sac Outlet. Only the 1 life's not a lot, but it is just a Sac Outlet on a generic land, on a colorless land, so you can run it in any deck, which is great. Broker's Hideout represents all the different fetch lands we're running, like Evolving Wilds, Fabled Passage, Tamorcan Expanse. Just great cards. Selesnya Sanctuary bounces a land back to your hand and then taps for 2 mana of different colors. I'm running all the bounce lands here because they're essentially draw a card, because they help you hit your land drops that way. Rimewood Falls, again, like I said earlier, running all the different snow lands that way. And then Sea of Clouds. I say in all my videos where the commanders are 2 or more colors, Wizards, please put the Battle Bonds lands in the commander decks, the pre-constructed commander decks. They are designed for multiplayer format, and the commander products are the multiplayer format products. So please put them in there. Thank you. There's a lot of different directions you can go with a strategy like this. More Sac Outlet-y, more other steal effects to kind of just steal all of your opponent's everything. But so trying to figure out what to cut and what to keep was a little bit difficult, but the deck came together relatively quickly. So these are some of the steal effects I decided not to keep. Control Magic and the other Control Magic-like effects, I decided to not run any of those because I didn't want this deck to become an Enchantress deck. Willbreaker, yeah, that card's insane. Willbreaker plus Fanatical Devotion just steals every single creature on the board and sacks it, because Fanatical Devotion says sacrifice a creature, regenerate target creature. And then with Willbreaker, yeah, you steal everybody's everything. Not very fun. So I decided to not run Willbreaker because I'd rather run Fanatical Devotion. And also Willbreaker is just a mean card for horrible people. Mass Manipulation costs way too much mana for what we're trying to do here in a mono blue deck that makes a crap load of mana, or even like a 2-color deck that makes a crap load of mana. I can see Mass Manipulation help working out, but not for this deck, just not worth it. Perplexing Chimera, this card's a rules nightmare sometimes, or just like a headache to try to deal with the board state while it's on there, so I decided to not run it for that reason. Perplexing Chimera is great because with your commander you can steal it back, so that's fantastic, but at the same time Perplexing Chimera is just an annoying card to deal with. So that's why that one isn't in. And then Depth of Loyalty. 3 mana, gain control of target creature. What? I don't know why this is a card, but 3 mana, gain control of target creature is kind of insane. And the last couple of cards from the maybes category, Helm of the Host would have been too strong, I think. You probably should put it in, because it makes token copy of the commander. Commander has haste. You can steal something. It's so gross. God, Helm of the Host is awful. Hate this card. In this specific strategy, it is kind of awful, but I highly recommend it. It's probably the 101st card of the deck because of how powerful it is. Yeah, oh my god, that plus this commander is ridiculous. Again, like I said earlier, not running Swords of Plowshares past the Exile Pongify Rapid Hybridization, just because the spells that only remove creatures, we'd rather steal them. And if they had Hexproof, sucks to suck, I guess. Patriarch Seal, you can tap it to add mana of any color, pay 1 to untap target legendary creature you control, so it's mana rock plus it's an untapper. I don't really like mana rocks in my green decks, except for Soul Ring, so I thought no on that one. And then Prime Speaker, Grandfather, and Vivian on the Hunt. You can activate them to sack a creature, and then search your library for a card with a mana value equal to that +1. I'm not a fan of tutors, even though these are quite limited tutors. I just didn't want to be doing that, so I decided to cut all the Neoform, Eldritch Evolution, Prime Speaker, Vanifar like effects. So that's the deck. Please tell me you hated it down in the comments. This deck is horrible for mean, awful people. 2 cards I didn't put in the deck were Arcane Lighthouse and Detection Tower. They probably should be in there, but I was like, you know what? If they have Hexproof, I'll let them keep it, because like getting rid of Hexproof or Shroud and then stealing something just sounds even worse. They should be in there. And if I was going to actually like build this deck, print it off, I would put them in there. I was nearing the end when finishing off the land package and stuff. I was like, this deck's making me sad to work on. So I just kind of like, when I was, during the lands, I definitely was like, all right, let's just do a generic land package where I don't have to think about it too much, because I just want to be done with this deck, because God, I hate this commander and I hate this effect so much. But let me know what you think down in the comments. These are all my socials. Twitter is when I post when these videos go live. I will eventually start making content for TikTok and Reddit. And then Architect and Moxfield are where all these deck lists live. So thank you for watching, and as always, get building, splainers. Alright, that is so